Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
And I am Anthony Sieda. Plus and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our program Between the Hairlines, and we have some hairline topics to discuss in this edition of the program Between the Hairlines about our dear country, Liberia. Very important and juicy political topics, by the way. And I'm excited that I have the best minds well seated and ready to dissect, to analyze, and proffer suggestions and solutions on how we can make things better for our dear country, Liberia. You want to know what's on the menu? We have, number one, U.S. State Department Human Rights Reports on Liberia. This report is a yearly report from the U.S. Department of State talking about human rights issues in most countries, but our focus here is the Republic of Liberia. Number two on the menu is a controversial biometric concession agreement, or concession that was given to a business in Liberia to produce biometric IDs for Liberians. The issue is that not much competitive bidding process was done as required by the PPCC Act. And so many people are saying, no, this is a complete violation of the act creating the PPCC. Even the PPCC as an institution is saying, no. That's not a way to go. But again, the deal got the blessing of the executive mansion, and so it is in full swing. Many people are unhappy about that. We will dissect the issue. The third thing on the menu is the ongoing discussion on the replacement of the fallen Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Mr. Sylvester Grisby. Many people feel that this is a very crucial role in the government, and so we have to discuss it in a very sober way so that that replacement can lead to the needed transformation. And not forgetting a highly political one, someone will say it might have some legal element to it. Ramification of the CDC latest trial and tribulations, then they pull it this way. The CDC has been evicted from its headquarters there in Monrovia. The CDC is not happy with this eviction. What should the CDC do? Is this the first time a political party has been evicted? I remember Unity Party was evicted, and Unity Party, when they formed a different headquarters, Unity Party will go and win the election. But it's not about that. So many things happening in the CDC right now. Key members of the CDC are turning their back. They are defecting from the CDC. And they're not only leaving, they are saying all kinds of things about the CDC, things that they could not say, some things they knew were not proper. They are saying them. For example, Sir Joseph left, Thomas Farrar left, and they are not living in peace. They are throwing some political punches where they, craft a political coffin for the CDC after it has left power, as it happened to the MPP, as it happened to the NDPL, should I continue? But that is here. He's going to help me. He's been around more than I do. Let me welcome Dr. Clarence Pearson. He's focused on Liberia, new progressive commentator. Dr. Pearson, welcome. I see that you are fired up. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. C. Listen, it is a sad day for Liberia, for political reason and national reason. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. I want to say hi to our viewers out there and listeners, and hi to my fellow panelists. Dr. Williams, it's a pleasure seeing you on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as Clarence rightfully said, Dr. George Williams, who is an educator and a social commentator, is here to help us bring the educative and social aspect of this national discussion to us and dissect things for that. Welcome. How you doing?
I am wonderful, Anthony. Great to be here. Dr. Pearson, it's always a pleasure to be in your company. Every time I think about you, I think about H. Boyman Family Jr. and all of those progressives who fought so hard to get our country where it is today. But beyond that, Liberia is our common patrimony, and it's always and must always be a pleasure to be a part of the conversation regarding Liberia.
Definitely, we all must participate in the discussion about our dear country, Liberia. And those who are just joining us, we want to welcome you. Serious discussion here today concerning our country, Liberia. If you have not shared the broadcast here, we encourage you to do so. Share with somebody in your contact, and let us have a very sober and reflective discussion about our country in Liberia. On the menu, we go right away. The first topic, U.S. State Department Human Rights Reports on Liberia. Let's see, the man Jimmy Eastman is trying to join us here. Jimmy is here, and here he is. He has arrived. So let us welcome Jimmy from the nation's capital. Jimmy, how you doing? Welcome.
Doing fine, doing fine.
We got good internet in the nation's capital. So Jimmy,
that's right.
Yeah. Jimmy doesn't represent the nation's capital.
So Jimmy, you are from the city of politics. Washington, D.C. is the most politically, how should I put it, service city, so to speak.
Yeah, the nerve center of global politics.
Yeah, it's the epicenter of global politics. And there you are. One political report I see all the time is this report from the U.S. State Department, trying to tell us how other countries are doing, in terms of human rights records, in the governance, and so on and so forth. And especially for our country, this report generates a national discussion, every year. So, as they will always do, we have one. Let me give you some little synopsis from it. The report highlights serious restriction on freedom of expression and press freedom despite constitutional protection. Notable among them include the dismissal of 9 Monrovia City Corporation employees for social media criticism of President Bouaka, 2 suspension of Radio Kakata station manager raising concerns about political interference in the media, self-censorship among journalists due to fear of harassment, legal sanction, and loss of government, advertisement. So this report, Jimin, we see that It's a yearly report from the U.S. State Department. Tell us, what is the goal? And should we listen to this report? Should the report be respected? Should the report be used as a yardstick as to how we are doing? This is a report from the government talking about another government. I don't see how it's independent. So talk to me, Jimmy.
Well, okay, we have to first look at the author of the document.
Definitely.
So the United States, they've occupied a position as defender of the free world. We can argue about that all night, but supposedly they're supposed to be the king, defender of the free world, and hence they will go around making sure that everybody's rights is not being trampled over. We do not see intimidation and any kind of strife for people just simply want to exercise their right, even though they have yet to recognize and to apologize for the 400 years of slavery they had Africans here for. So because of their economic might in the world, they being one of the largest consumers of the world's resources, they can flex their muscle like this. And why would it affect a small African country like Liberia? Well, because of the kind of power they have, the kind of economic force they bring, and hence it can damage a small nation. But the same United States does not succumb to any other, allowing their citizens to come under the scrutiny of other nations. So it's a one-sided event, and people, you may want to take it seriously, or you disregard it totally. There are many people have today. They question Charles Taylor being in jail. So why should he be? He didn't do anything that these other countries do. They do this very same things. They have proxy wars and all of that. Why they decided to arrest him is...
Give me an example, Jimmy.
Okay, he's in jail. The reason why he's in jail, according to him, he was helping for this Sankore, right, in Sierra Leone, right? These people fight proxy war. They push people up all the time to fight wars. They're doing it in Congo today. Rwanda is all in Congo. Who's supposed to be helping them? So there's somebody helping them support them with their efforts in Congo.
Does the U.S. do this kind of thing too, Jimmy?
Of course.
Give me example.
They're involved. The U.S. is one of those countries that are helping Rwanda in that war. Yeah, that war is, in fact, it is almost known fact that the Patrice Lumumba was removed by the U.S. And what was his crime? So it's when you're might make right. That's a lot of. That's how.
I want you to give me more. We were right here when the U.S. persecuted an onslaught in Iraq. Based on falsehood that there were weapons of mass destruction. The United Nations went there. Hans Blake was the United Nations weapons inspector at the time. He said there were no weapons of mass destruction. And the U.S. went there and caused chaos. Bush was not held accountable for war crimes in any shape and form. Of recent, Donald Trump authorized bombardment in Iran, and that led to the death of citizens and caused chaos in that country. Jimmy, I want you to give it to me. Don't be afraid. Be a man, Jimmy. Be a man.
Exactly.
We came here to discuss it, and I am giving it to you. You've been diplomatic.
You've been diplomatic. Let hold all of us accountable, including the United States, that is setting this standard that people must respect human rights and not violate people's freedom. And now, is the U.S. But maybe we should forget about the U.S. I was asking you about, is this report anything for us to really give any attention, given the source of it whatsoever?
Not necessarily, because I want to tell you, sometimes the people are, let me give you one example of the hypocrisy that I see. There was once upon a time, Equatorial Guinea, they were accused of mismanagement, that the ruler of the country was corrupt, and he was suppressing his people, and his son was living lavishly, buying expensive buildings and homes all over. And they were going to leave. They were going to leave out and not have anything to do with that country. But soon as they discovered the mass amount of oil in Equatorial Guinea, they have a direct flight from Texas straight over there. So there's a lot of hypocrisy. You know, as long as it's really about economics. I've seen people, you know, there is an element of which they try to protect human rights and human dignity. But a lot of times, if the economics dictate that they have to do something, just a few days ago, a couple of years ago, they will colonize all of Africa. They knew these countries were not theirs to take, but they did it anyway.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Let me get to Dr. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, you know, two things can be true here. The U.S. may not be in a moral place to tell us human rights violations that are happening in Liberia and any other country, because those very things are happening here, even worse in some instances, right? We can all debate that, but the reality is that these things are happening. Based on the report that you read, what are the specifics that you think that are true that you know of?
Thank you, Anthony. And hi to Mr. Eastman and those who just joined us online. Let me first clarify a few things here. One is that the report that we're discussing here is annual. It doesn't matter who is in power. This report is written. It could be Joe Biden. It could be Donald Trump. It could be Barack Obama. And this report will be written. This report is compiled based on what they refer to as confidential cables from foreign missions. So all of the embassies of the United States around the world, they submit confidential cables, and then the State Department compile those cables of confidential information and then release it during the time of the report. So let me mention here, I do not think this whole report is about whether the United States is credible or not. Whether we like it or not to say whether the United States is credible or not, the major question is, are the information, the facts of the report genuine? And I would say yes. Now, they listed what I referred to today in my podcast, 6 big accusations. 6 big accusations according to the SBAs. They talk about, and I will list them just for the audience who don't have the report. The 6 big accusations that is in the summary says arbitrary or unlawful killings. Is that true? Yes. Torture, cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Is that true? Yes. Arbitrary arrest or detention. Is that true? Yes. Serious restrictions of freedom of expression and media freedom, including violence or threats of violence against journalists and censorship. Is that true? Yes. Trafficking in person. Is that true? Yes. And the last one, systemic restriction of workers' freedom of association. Is that true? Yes. These are our facts.
And why did you say yes to all of these things? Give me examples.
So right. So the report mentioned on page 3, government officials sometimes use dismissal or threat of dismissal from employment to place limits on freedom of expression for public servants. In August, the Monrovia State Corporation dismissed 9 state employees following allegations they use social media to criticize government officials and the president. That's a fact. We all criticize that, yeah. Even though people who are in favor of Josiah Joker, who they report name personally, try to dismiss that, it was wrong. Another thing, government officials, associates, occasionally harass newspaper, radio station owners, as well as individuals, journalists, because of their political opinions and reporting. June 26, Association of the Liberian Communication Radios demanded a reinstatement of Radio Kakata station manager, Jerry Kuya. So they are fast to this. All right, on page number 4, some journalists practiced self-censorship to avoid harassment. Some media outlets avoided criticizing government officials due to fear of legal sanctions and partial loss of government advertising and large source of media revenue. So they choose not to criticize government because they want government announcements and radio. And we saw Darius Delon do the same thing just a few days ago, where he threatened John Colley. And in fact, at the end of the podcast, he said, in fact, they will be observing anybody who in the media that government official will use and give money to the say negative thing about government will be targeted and they will be gotten at, and the very government official will be dismissed, or whoever in government will be dismissed. Demands by government for free website advertising, with which impacted revenues of radio stations and media institutions. Is that true? Yes. We saw Eugene Facon. He threatened DSTV, Simon Freeman, that unless LMTV is hosted on DSTV, he will ensure that they close DSTV down. He was citing degree number 20 from PRC regime, Samuel Doe. These are all facts. And I can go on to talk about the King George, they listed about arbitrary killings. I can go on to discuss about the police guy who shot the labor at rehab. I can go on to talk about the power theft murder, someone who was stealing power. Our old man, what he said, tax force who went there and the guy
Mary Bro.
Yeah, Mary Bro tax force on power theft. You know, these are all evidence. These are all evidence based. They talk about Patrick Wozi, the guy who corrupted retainees money for the resettlement coming from Ghana. They mentioned him. It was on the front to the people's right, and we saw videos where people were given money by USHCR and the government of Liberia to have reasonable accommodation for them in Kakata, in Mahagi, Kakata city. They were left in leaking tarpaulins, vulnerable to the elements of the weather. And it's documented. Public sector employees and employees of state-owned enterprises rejected the right to have what they call unions, and some of them lose their job. And this is not even something to say you're going low behind the door forever. And look at the Ministry of Transport recent case. So these are all real cases. Page number 8, alleged wage hour of overtime violation were common in the informal sector. Page number 9, workers could not remove themselves from situations that endanger health or safety without jeopardizing their employment, and authorities did not effectively protect employees in this situation. We saw a former superintendent, was it former senator? No, Brandon Samuka was on air that his relative within the Cementco factory, who was brutally harmed by an unsafe work environment. The guy lost his limb in the process, and they said these cases are swept under the rug. Of course, what came out of that case when Brandon Samuka raised the alarm, it went under the rug. You see page 9, the government did not keep records of industrial accidents, but evidence pointing to mining, construction, forestry, fishing, agriculture, and most dangerous sectors. Hazardous occupational situation was left unsupervised, and they gave instances. 10 person God killed on a mudslide where government did not do special supervision of mining sectors in the country where people doing illicit mining, no regulations, nothing. Page number 10, observers reported labor inspectors solicited and took bribes to certify compliance with regulations, and then they mentioned 90% of our population are in the informal sector, reported by the World Bank. So the list go on. These are facts.
Thank you. I'd agree with you. Those are facts. And another one, I don't know if the report captured that. You remember the CDC chairman who was, I don't know, was when they went to the police headquarters or something, he had his hands up, and the police man handled him, they threw him in the car. I think that was a violation of that young man's right.
I guess that would be in
He
2025
was not
report.
resisting. He was not resisting arrest, but the ranks saw him. They just grabbed him and handcuffed him and threw him in the car. When he had his hands up, he was not resisting arrest. That is one incident that was very unfortunate, and I thought to point that out. That Barring has a point here. Well, you can say America is not in a moral standing to do it or to issue any such report, but these are things that are documented by the embassy, that these are happenings in the country. We are aware of some of these things. And the thing is that when Dr. Josh will articulate these things, some of us will not pay you, like Romeo will say, no, man, we'll not even want to listen to you. But because it's coming from the United States, now we say, yeah. And now the government too now will want to pay attention. And how is there much of our own problem than just a report?
So first of all, I'd like to thank my co-panelists for their perspectives on the matter. I think Mr. Eastman did due diligence to the issue. The U.S. Human Rights Report, and I believe of the three panelists or even four of us on this platform in this moment, there's but one of us who worked with a U.S. agency that was responsible for collating those very reports and forwarding them to the embassy for onward transmission to State Department. And what I will say is this, that a lot of what is highlighted in that report is a culmination of what is reported in the newspapers. So let's set that aside, put that aside for a second. How many of the things we read in the newspapers are verifiable? How many of the things we read in the newspapers are validated by facts? They're simply reports. Now, this is not to say that some of those things, if not many of those things, didn't happen. But the frequency and the cognizance of government and institutionalizing some of those actions are collated in a report to suggest that these are actions undertaken by the government. Now, I am one of those people who believe that as panelists, we hold a sacred responsibility to educate our population. We have a very vulnerable population. Everything we say on these platforms gel with the gullible, gel with the vulnerable. And it's our job to educate. Now, so as one who's been in the pipeline of generating such reports, I will say to you, like Mr. Ismail said, that the report, yes, is symbolic. It's symptomatic of some of the issues we have, but it's not as pervasive as they make it sound. Now, and I refuse to go to assessing the U.S. state because they have absolutely no standing. If we had to compare and contrast human rights abuses anywhere in the world and human rights abuses in this country, I refuse to go that far because the U.S. has absolutely no standing. Millions of countries today are suffering. Many of us are in the U.S. today because of the U.S. action. Because of the U.S. action on Liberia. All right? So we wouldn't even go there. That has to be a show all by itself. But here we are. The report mentions Kula Fofana. Kula Fofana pronouncement and a robust press conference at the Ministry of State and a pervasive attempt by the government to start issues with the press and government officials. Yes, there has been. But is it an organized attempt to stifle the press? I say absolutely no. Absolutely no. We still have spoon talk. You have FOL. They're still operating. We criticize. Dr. Pearson is here. If there's any one critic, single most critic of this government, it's Dr. Pearson. Has that warranted FOL been threatened in any way? I'm not sure. Anthony, you're an operator of this platform. You tell us. Spoon Talk, a platform responsible for getting this government elected, has become the greatest critic of the government. Is Spoon Talk off the radio? Is Spoon Talk off the wires? No, no. What the government has, unfortunately, done in their failed attempt at counter-propagating is to set up a platform where people who should be working and accounting to the populace, as far as water production is concerned, as far as telecommunication is concerned, are spending their day producing a program that uses very little. That's counterproductive. And so when I hear intellectuals come out and castigate and hold the government on a report as the State Department Human Rights Report, listen, again, this tags into the national oration of the year before, Dr. Pele's oration. Liberia and Liberians have to get away from imagining and believing that whatever the Americans say is law and gospel. We who have lived in this country, we who have experienced America, we who have experienced the hypocrisy of this country, we have Gaza. We have Gaza. We lost a president of Liberia for standing up for the Palestinians. And what are we witnessing today? Babies are dying in Gaza. And Dr. Pearson is saying to us that because a policeman in Liberia harassed a lady, I'm not condoning any policeman from doing that. But how does that compare to the more global human rights issues? In September, we have a United Nations General Assembly coming up. What in God's heavens are they going to be talking about? When there's Gaza sitting there, there's Ukraine, and many other countries around the world. Congo, Libya, they're there. Liberia, we still have not awakened. We still have not recovered from the devastation caused to us by this country. And we are saying here that Human Rights Report today determines where our country is going. Is Liberia better than it was 6 years ago? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And so let's not be myopic in our diagnosis of where we are. Do we have issues to do? Do we have progress to make? Yes, lots of it. Lots of it. Look, only the blind cannot see progress in Liberia right now. However little, only the blind cannot see progress. And so, as much as we respect the Human Rights Report coming out of the U.S., it is not law, it's not gospel. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's a document that needs to bring us to our knees. Yes, it's a great indicator of some of the areas we need to perfect. But we're talking human rights. We have our people lining up in the streets of Monrovia under the rain to get U.S. visa. Dr. Pearson, how did you come to America? Did you go up Benson Street? Did you stand under the rain? Did you see our people, rain or shine, stand under the rain? Isn't that human rights abuse? And we stand here today and castigate our government because a report comes out that a policeman harassed a lady or armed robbers or Kulai Fofana misspoke at a press conference, and so people walked out. What difference does that make? Marie Jean-Pierre, press secretary of President Biden, and many others, they've had contentious press conferences. And what happened to that? Do we see that in any report? So let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. We're on a far better trajectory as far as human rights is concerned than the very country who put out the report. So let's be honest to ourselves, people.
And
so let me stop there.
And that I am in 100% agreement with you there. You spoke so powerfully and profoundly. I wanted Jimmy to give it to me, but Jimmy is in the nation's capital of politics, so the epicenter of politics. So he chose to be diplomatic. Let's welcome.
I think you can give me 30 seconds after you welcome.
Yeah. Let me welcome Joe. Welcome. I can imagine how relaxed and prepared you are to propound on this topic. But welcome. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. I was listening into the program when I was driving home from work, so as soon as I got in, yeah.
And the flavor was so tasty, so he said, "No, I have to go and contribute." Right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Dr. Pearson, you got your 30 seconds.
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Tao. Look.
Thanks.
Mr. Dr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
You are in a situation where your house and your kids are being abused, and because your neighbor in the house next to you can abuse a kid, when you come and tell you your kids are being abused, you say because your own kids are being abused, so it's okay for mine to be abused. Are you telling me this report is not substantive when 5 people lost their life in Kinjal? Are you telling me this report is a lie when a boy lost his life at rehab? Are you telling me this report is a lie when someone loses their life for power theft, for something as power theft? Are you telling me this report is a lie when someone is killed in the police cell without any form of redress? And then in first time they have to burn the police station. Are you telling me these are all made up stories? Are you telling me look?
I can respond after he.
Yeah, no. It's not for you to answer. I'm telling you, this is the same reason why the CDC-led government failed the Liberian people, because there were people like you who should have taken things very seriously and put the government on the spot and say, look, in as much as this may not be a credible accuser, but the facts are there to show the accusations are true, and we must fix it. And that's the reason why I will even go further to say people like Buju Ben Keita should be dismissed. People that Samuel Kofi Wu should be dismissed, even though he's a progressive, he should be dismissed. People like Oxford Ware should be dismissed. This is a government who came to power on the mantra of change. And you are telling me that President Bwaka is failing in human rights protection when people who are being abused are the very people who voted for him to give him power, when he did not even have the impetus to prepare himself to power. What are you trying to say here? I will stop there answering.
So I'm compared to give that 30 seconds and then
yes,
we can
please. I want Dr. Pearson to give me one country under the sun that does not have an example of human rights abuse. I am not condoning it. There is so much a government can do. There is so much outside of government control. And so Dr. Pearson's contention is that the government has to be all encompassing, controlling everywhere. And I don't know of a government anywhere in the world in my 57 years, come October 12th, that has been able to protect every citizen. Now, are there things to improve in Liberia? Yes, there are many. The government, my expectation of this government, have they met it? No. There's so much to be done. Structural changes, governance reform, there's a lot to be done. But are things better than they were 6 years ago? I said, absolute yes. Psychosocially, people are better off. Does that mean anything? Can any government stop armed robbers around the world? Can the government improve? Yes, the government can. So, Dr. Pearson, I am not saying, and I did not say, that the report was a lie. As a matter of fact, I started off by saying I am one of those who have contributed to the compilation of the Human Rights Report. I work with the International Republican Institute. Part of my job in Liberia was to compile newspaper clippings about events. When I transitioned from the International Republican Institute, I ran Liberia Democracy Watch. Part of that job, and Anthony can share with you a report that we compiled We running it over almost 10 years with the Fund for Peace here in Washington, D.C. on conflict early warnings. And you know how we got our data? From the newspapers. From the newspapers. And were all of those reports in the newspapers credible? No. No. Did we investigate every report? We did substantial amounts of them, 80, 90%.
Just quick question. Just quick question. Is there anything? No, just quick question. Is there anything in this report that you can flag as not being credible, as were cited, because they cited key things of real happiness? Can you discredit any one of them?
So, Dr. Pearson, here's the point you're not picking up on. I am not saying that the issues are not legitimate, that the issues are not real. I am saying, to what extent are they state-driven? To what extent are they state-driven? Are they? And can the U.S., does the U.S. have the wherewithal to accuse our government from driving these processes? No.
Thank
The
you.
U.S. cannot even tell a policeman who harassed a lady on the street that it was sanctioned by the government. No, because in this very country, police are indiscretionate using and abusing their powers. Do we attribute that to the government? People are being shot every day. Do we say it's state sanction because the government has done nothing about gun control?
That
Come
I
on
think
now.
the clarity is being made, and like I said earlier, I am in agreement with you, and Dr. Pearson, I'm in agreement with you too. The reports, the instances cited about the human rights abuses, I want to believe they all happen. I have memory of most of them, so these are facts. But what Dr. Williams is saying is that, well, these things are not actually sanctioned by the government. An example is like in my home state of Minnesota, a police officer putting his knee on the neck of a black man to the point that he died. Did we accuse the U.S. government? Was that the doing of the U.S. government? That was an abuse of power by a police officer, while others stood by, aided and abetted the process. They were held accountable. All right, so that is why he's saying, so U.S. is telling about things that are happening and making it look like it is the doing of the government and the people. All right, but when the worst of these things happen here, they don't accuse themselves. Let me come to Brother Tao. Brother Tao, my question to you is that should international human rights reports be handled by independent bodies rather than a national government like the U.S. government in particular that writes reports about other countries? Should it be done by independent body other than the U.S. government? Because I'm sure the U.S. government has an agenda here. You might be reporting facts, but with an agenda to make other people look bad and they look good. That's how I see it. Your thoughts?
Hello to everyone and to our viewers. Okay, look at what happened here. When you hear words like international, when you hear words like universal, the claim of universality is the greatest form of imperialism because it's the same thing to say this is a universal. Because okay, take Western culture and tradition for example. They globalize it. So if they do it this way, because it's in their favor, that is the way it should be done. So your own culture, your own tradition, your own way of doing things that you've done it for a long time, way it has worked, have no bearing. So I'm just making that point to say, remember that that this is purely political. It has no real true meaning. It is only people who are weak, whose minds have been propagandized, are the one that actually take this seriously. Why am I saying this? The State Department used these reports to pressure government to stir up all kinds of feelings in the people who may not be sophisticated or who look up to the U.S. as some kind of God on this earth. Are you saying that all of these things that are listed in that report, haven't we discussed these things? Don't we know about it? Wasn't it on all these platforms for a whole year? Then we go through this on FOL since I've been here for a year and a half, on Spoon, and everywhere else on the local meat stuff. The Liberian people know about this stuff, and we discuss it. We know that it happened, and we held both the CDC and the Biometric government responsible, and we discussed it at length. And Dr. Pearson was part of that discussion. So why out of frustration is supposed to mean something so much because it came from some State Department? So it's not whether we're saying whether it is true or not true, or whether some kind of bearing is there, but it's the fact that now it's this big deal. Let me tell you something. In Zambia, the U.S. have been trying to get copper contract so that because the electric car they want to raise, so the Chinese and other people have major contracts because the U.S. have not treated them well. But the U.S. still have some contract U.S. companies. So there was a toxic spill by an American and Canadian company. There was nothing said about the U.S. did not issue a single report. There was another toxic spill by a Chinese-owned company. The U.S. State Department went to complete overdrive in the same report now. And they just issued it last week. But you know why the U.S. State Department shut their mouth? Because the people in Zambia are not the same people in Namibia, in Liberia. The foreign minister came out and said, well, hold on. Where was this human rights abuse and all this threat to life? Why wasn't it an issue when the Western company had a major spill that was so worse that they didn't even clean it up till almost a couple of years later? But the Chinese-run company were able to clean it up along with the government. They were held responsible, and within 6 months, the water was tested for over 6 months, and everything is good. Where is that report? And then they were quiet. This is what I would tell you. The report is actually nothing. It's a political document used to pressure government. If we are talking about police brutality, you are in this country. This is the country where the police is more brutal than anywhere else. Over 4,000 people are gunned down every year in this country, to put it modestly. Tell me that. The U.S. listed a report of one policeman shot somebody. We're not saying that is not real. We have to separate the two. We have to be able to separate the two, because what is happening in Liberia is true. We have to then look at the person that is, the person issuing a report, if they don't have the moral ground. And then if by using the report, they have the ability for them to influence and profit from it. That is the point right there. The U.S. issued this report to be able to profit from it, using the coercive government. And that we need to separate the two. Where is that report in this country? 50,000 people get gunned down every year. In Liberia, we had a civil war for 40 years. They say it was 250,000 people, which is questionable. If you take the 50,000 a year that they compile here, if you project it over, that's 1 million people almost. So, Dr. Pearson, you are living in a war zone. If the U.S. State Department wants, that's human rights abuse, because they can't control the guns, they can't control the drugs, and poor people are dying. Where is the report? If any serious country will be issuing human rights report on the U.S. and be giving warning that the citizens shouldn't even travel. All the major cities of the U.S. is a killing field. This is the point. We're not saying what is happening, but we have to separate the two. Okay? We have to please be able to do this. There is one other thing here before I close. 2 points. There is something that we discussed here briefly, like about a month ago, but nobody had really pointed it out. When the Trump administration, and this is not linked to just one administration, just like this report, when they wanted for HPX, because of HPX, it's not because Tweden did not steal or McGibbon did not steal, but when HPS deal was held up, they imposed sanction on them to influence and remove Weah from out of power. Pretty much, they removed his big men by that sanction. Bouaka came to power. When they wanted to look at the HPS deal, it still could not be done. What happened? They coerced your president. They deceived the country. Promised him that he's coming to meet Trump. They're going to do business deal. They're going to bring businesses. At the last minute, they could not, with the embassy in Liberia, force him, coerce him, and lie to him to sign that agreement. He came here, they belittled him. These are some of the things we need to be discussing, because you that the person you are here now. Tomorrow, HPS deal is a bogus deal. When the backlash start coming, they will turn around and blame the same government, but it never hold the U.S. responsible. The contract should be canceled. That agreement should be canceled because that signature was gotten honor of bogus and coercive and deceitful means. That is how it was gotten. So, and then lastly, the U.S. is here continuing to question all these governments. The U.S. support this government. The U.S. does not care about human rights. How many African Americans in this country? 40 million. Disenfranchised, institutionalized racism against them. 40 million of your citizens. You gun them down in the street at will. This is institutionalized. This one is linked to government, state government, and federal government. It is documented. And then you overly represent them in the criminal justice system and lock them up. Massive jail term. Your own veterans that fought for you, you can't even take care of them. They're on the streets in the millions, homeless. That's human rights abuse. So the U.S. is in no position. Us having a problem, we should separate that from the U.S. issuing something that's supposed to be this alarm. But this is the same U.S. that is subsidizing this corrupt government. Why are they doing this? I've been discussing this here from day one. Mr. Eastman been here, Brother Jay Vietnam, I've been here. I said, why would the United States take 3 of your most critical areas that any country need for them to be truly independent? Your education, your agriculture, and your health care. They told your government officials they should overpay themselves, higher than even the U.S. representatives and senators make, so that they can leave this place open, that they will subsidize these places. So you let them steal the country's money, and you subsidize. For what reason? I said it here a year ago, was to handicap the country, to keep you completely strangulated. What happened when USAID pulled out? I was pretty much vilified. I was told that I was a radical and all kinds of stuff, and I kept saying it. What happened when USAID pulled out? Instead of going back to point this out, you started blaming the government. They pulled out. They pulled all the money. What happened? The 3 sectors collapsed. So if you are sponsoring this government, subsidizing the corruption and the crime, then you turn around and issue a report. The report is of no use.
Thank you. Well said. J. Victor Namwe is a long-term progressive. Now I see him chilling and rolling with a CMC. I see CMC.com. We're going to send you a bill. Focus on Live. We're going to send you a bill. But on a serious note, J. Victor Namwe, welcome. We are on the U.S. State Department 2024 report on Liberia. My question to you is, does the U.S. State Department release a report on the U.S. government in terms of human rights, abuses and record as it does to a lot of countries? If not, why not?
I've never really taken interest in that, but I would think there is, and I am sure it can be found, and I will look it up. Maybe on the next time I appear here, I should be able to talk about it. But I don't think that negates the fact that there are abuses taking place in Liberia, and they have to be highlighted. I hope that's not the argument here, because they're just the messenger. I think the message really is loud and clear. This government is perpetrating a lot of violence against our people. Then that's what is highlighted in that report. There are arbitrary arrests and detention, extrajudicial killings that are happening under this government. When I read the report, I was shocked. And I was shocked because there are actors in this government who themselves have been championing the abolition or cessation or such actions. And today, to be captaining the ship and these kinds of things are occurring is despicable. I'm very disappointed. But it is great to be here with you guys. I read the president's his reaction to the report again. Another committee, but it is also heartening that he's acknowledging it, and hopefully something is going to happen. I heard someone say, I think it was Dr. Washington, who was, discussing what some of the pressure points might be, why they're acknowledging this report, because one of them being that their Millennium, Compact grant is in the balance. If it would take such pressure points, to get them to do the right by our people, then so be it. But I think the American, right now there's a lot that's happening in this country. The consolation here is that to some extent the judicial system here is allowed to correct and check some of these excesses that are happening, more so under this government than the previous government. I mean, there are these detentions and deportations, some without justification, other than, but at least they're winning some. But to a large extent, I think the judiciary has been able to also stalemate some of their actions, some of their excesses. We don't have that in Liberia. The president of the Republic of Liberia put his finger on the scale and removed a speaker illegally and installed a speaker illegally. And that speaker passed the budget illegally. And now they're trying to recast that budget because they've already spent what was allotted in the budget for them. They're going to recast the budget and refill the holes, renew their appropriations, and spend more of our money. I think those are some of the things that concern some of us.
Thank you, J. Victor Nambe. The question I asked you, I did a quiz search, and my question was, does the U.S. State Department issue a yearly report on America human rights record? The answer is a resounding no. The U.S. State Department does not publish a yearly human rights report on the United States, except in the same format as it does for other countries. That's why I said. So,
and I can tell you why. Point of interjection.
Please.
When I hear people, sometimes when you don't have the information, ask, and then you will find information, right? I hear people talking about, the American government does not check itself, it does not even track its own human rights record. That's misleading information. The human rights status of this country is tracked by the American government, not American government, but the Human Rights Watch, a civil society arm of the American society that track our human rights records and publish it annually. Go look at Human Rights Watch reports. They are damning cases of human rights abuse here as well. So does that negate the fact that those things are not true because it is not coming from the government itself? No. You see, so
and I agree with Dr. Pearson. Otherwise, we wouldn't have heard of Abu Ghraib. We all remember Abu Ghraib here and such agents. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't cut you, Dr. Pearson.
No, you good. I'm done. I just wanted to provide that fact. That's all. Human Rights Watch. Look at Human Rights Watch report.
But here's the contention, though. Here's the contention. You're saying the Human Rights Watch compiles that report. Who funds the Human Rights Watch? Do you know?
So again, you
Human Rights Watch.
Dr. Williams, you are moving the goalpost. Dr. Williams, you're moving the goalpost. You guys, someone was saying that the American government does not fact check itself. I'm telling you, that is but listen,
it does not.
What good if Liberia publish their own human rights report and say, why would they wrong to our people? What good is that report? No, listen to me. In Liberia, listen, let's learn. That's why President Braga is failing miserably because of misadvice and bad advisors, like people like you, right? In Liberia, we got the Independent Human Rights Commission. They make the report and put the government of Liberia on the spot as well. Their report is independent, even though they were instituted by law in Liberia. Liberia, as a government, does not make its own human rights report. The International Human Rights Commission does that. In the United States, the government of the United States does not make its own human rights report. The Human Rights Watch, a civil society arm of our government here, makes that report. And it is damning as well. But that does not negate the fact that the information in the report, like Namwe said, is not viable.
So your contention is viability of the report. We have not contended that issue. We're saying it's not significant enough. It's not a government-driven process. A lot of what is indicated in the report is not government-driven. Can government be guided by it? Yes. Can government take actions to make it better? Yes. But to conceive and convey to the public that these actions are sanctioned by the government is wrong. It's misleading. It's counterintuitive.
Look.
Because
Let
those
us
who
leave it that,
Yeah,
Dr.
we
Pearson.
shouldn't go there. We shouldn't go
No,
there. Liberia
both of
let's
is
your
go
points
there.
being made.
Let's go
Liberia
there.
is a very small society, and majority of the time, the issues that happen that are abusive and misleading to our people and harmful to our people are sanctioned by those in power. People go to jail because someone in power. People go
sorry
to
to
jail.
inform you, Dr. Pearson.
People
I
go
am
to
not
jail and sleep in jail because
One at
someone
a
in
time.
power
One
say,
at a time, please.
yeah, people go to jail in Liberia and sleep in jail because someone in power say, I will make you sleep in jail tonight. Because they're in government. You want to deny that?
Dr. Pearson,
People
how many
trial
people,
don't get seen in daylight because some kind of Joyce say they want bribe. If they don't get it, your case will not be prosecuted. You want to deny that?
Dr. Pearson, I say it again. Our system is not perfect. Our system has a far way to go. Far way to go. Is it better than 6 years ago? Is it better than 20 years ago? Yeah, yeah. Those of us who stayed in the country throughout the war, who saw the evolution, post-war evolution of the society, where we are today is way better than where we are. Is that where we want to be? No, no.
All right,
We can
gentlemen.
do more.
Gentlemen, thank
Do
you.
more.
Spirited debate there, and I think I'm enjoying the discussion. Let us move to another topic here. And folks who are just joining us, this is Between the Headlines here. I focus on Liberia. We have a lot of important topics on the menu. Now we will go to this one, which is the ramification of CDC latest trials and tribulations. The CDC has been evicted finally based on court records in our possession. So the CDC lost the battle. CDC have been in this battle trying to save its headquarters. So let me put a discussion in perspective here. Is CDC in crisis? Is CDC heading for a rebirth, or is CDC heading for a collapse? What's happening in the CDC now?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me put everything in perspective here. The CDC, once Liberia's dominant political force, under President Weah, is facing a collapse. We see mass defection and resignation. For example, key figures like Senator Sir Joseph. We know of former Chairman John Monroe, who left and formed his own institution. Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler exited the CDC. And when they left, they didn't have anything pleasant to say. In Sir Joseph, for example, pointed out that the CDC was soliciting bribes for investments that were being taken to the country. For example, he mentioned a $500 million investment. The CDC officials were requesting $30 million, and a $100 million investment, they were requesting $10 million. And that President Weah did not speak to him in 4 years. He's off and he's heading somewhere. We heard a political party that is in the making. And now we see eviction. CDC is being evicted from a headquarters. So I have some serious questions here, and I want all of you to put on your political caveat. My first question is, and I'm going to start with you, J. Victor, this is your area. Are we witnessing the end of CDC as a political party in Liberia, or this is just a party going through some sort of rebirth here, and it will emerge? Because we saw similar thing with the NDPL. It's no more. MPP was powerful. That was the first political party I saw as a young man. It was powerful. It had powerful people. And now it's gone. Even the headquarters, you can't recognize it in Congo Town. All right. Is this something that the CDC is going through, or CDC is strong?
Well, prior to say 20 years ago, that was the expected. That was, I mean, you referenced the NDPL. We can talk about NPP. And then prior to those parties, there were other parties, and so usually people gravitate towards power. It happens, but in recent past, since over the past 20 years, these two parties have been the dominant parties on the scene. And if you then take uh, if you do a comparison, we've had the UP of Ellen Johnson, and now we're having the UP of Boakai, which we can call UP 2.0. Therefore, the CDC has had a CDC 1.0, and they're looking to have a CDC 2.0. So if you look at it that way, then there is reason to be concerned, because it is beginning to appear as though that aspiration has been threatened. And you mentioned the names that are leaving the CDC, very high profile. You didn't mention my own friend, brother Milton Tieje, J. Milton Tieje, even though he's been with the UP for a while now, but he was one time of the CDC. What is giving some of us reason for concern is that the CDC has demonstrated inability to manage crisis. These kind of crises happen all the time, but if they are handled efficiently,
I don't see a party that has demonstrated any ability to manage crisis. Unity Party, I'm not sure how it has managed crisis.
Well, no, Unity Party. Look, Ellen Johnson was expelled from the Unity Party. Unity Party is still here. I mean, Ellen Johnson was almost like George Weah to the CDC. That's how she was to this. And
this is not the first time key individuals are defecting from the CDC, right?
No, it is not. But I'm saying to you, I'm not sure if the caliber of people that are defecting now were the same caliber of people who defected before. I mean, you're talking about John Molu, the chairman himself, decapitated, right? And then you're talking about Fala, Sir Joseph. Sir Joseph, I believe, was the campaign manager.
You mean Mulba Molu, not John Molu. Mulba Molu.
Mulba Molu, thank you. So, and I will pass it on. I mean, we're all in the opposition community. I'm not going to wish ill on my brothers and sisters in the opposition community. I hope that they will be able to get it together. But right now, the drip and drop is becoming concerning. And the way they're reacting to it is what is even more concerning. You have people like Karos Gray get on air and call some of these people parasites, which in effect is almost shutting the door for any possibility of a reconciliation and reunion. If you begin to do that, you're creating a lot of complications.
I hate to interrupt, but you've been around. You saw the crisis on Bwaka's watch when when they left power, right? When Bwaka took over, because Bwaka contested on the party's ticket. The women paid guy we're talking about today who returned to Joseph Bwaka now, or the Unity Party, he left. He joined that Ocaste's party, he became party chairman. During the time of the crisis, he has some pleasant words to say. He's in a Unity Party government today. This is not.
You have to remember that Wilmer Pay is struggles with the Unity Party was because he was aligned with Joseph Boakai. He was not on the Ellen camp, and that was one of the things that had him being kicked out of the UP. So he's left, but it's like he never left. So he just came back when Joe Boakai took over the party. But I will hand it over, but my closing will be, this is something that has happened. It happens all the time. Usually people gravitate towards power. But the CDC right now, the way they're managing what is happening now is what is concerning. And I don't think they're handling in a way that will give us consolation that they will survive it, intact. I think it's very concerning, but I'll pass it on.
Thank you. Let us welcome Pastor S.T. Salif. Brother, welcome. How you doing there?
I'm doing wonderful. Great show tonight, and I'm just following the show, and I think everybody is on point tonight.
All right, that's good. So you met us on the second menu. CDC is evicted. People are leaving. Those who are leaving, they are saying all manner of things. From your reading of it all, is this like a nail in the coffin and someone is holding the hammer yet? Who you think is holding the hammer yet? CDC itself? Or this is not new? Are they going to bounce back? Or they're going nowhere?
That's an interesting question. I mean, and it depends on who you ask. People, the way we discuss Liberia's problem, we discuss them not holistically. We always discuss them based on our own political inclination and party affiliation. So
Right.
you could ask one person, they could tell you something else, and you ask another person, they got something to say. But I think, like the Bible says, a house divided against itself cannot stand. You know, CDC is not an institution. It's not an institution. CDC is a group of people built around one individual, which is Joshua. And they are not a serious bunch of people, I mean, since inception, because what party that was in power for 6 years spent over $150 million for their election to be re-elected, and all the money they squandered, the millions of dollars that they squandered in 6 years, they could not buy that property or even buy somewhere else to build their own headquarters, that they had to be evicted. You know, they are not a serious bunch of people. So one mistake we make in leadership is when things are happening, instead of, say, you know what, maybe this might be a crisis.
And can you say the same to any former ruling party that failed to construct its own headquarters, for example, the Unity Party? That is
all of them the same. All of them. The only person that I gave credence to was the late Samuel Doe, who felt the need that, listen, I think all government ministries should have their own building. And he started because the same Concord people were minister in the ministry, and then government was paying them as minister, and government was renting their own houses from them and paying them. So they were taking money from different ways from the same government. You the minister, they're paying you for renting your house, they're paying you as a minister, and those that let other ministry build their own buildings. So he was the only one who had that vision. Since after Doe, all these other parties, even the UP, when they were in Concord Town, I think they also had something with this eviction issue too in time past. So they all at that Liberia leadership is not serious, even from the party level. Why would a party not own a place as a party headquarters? Because these people know once I'm no more in power, I don't care. I'm not linked to them anymore. So that is not for them. Leadership is not any future investment, is what I can do now, what I'm empowered. That's why we're not building institutions. So our political party are not institutions. That key person that we all surround, once that person is out, the whole thing, fizzles out. And so I'm not just trying to critique the CDC, it's for everybody because they're all doing the same thing. So to be there after 6 years and you get evicted, and then one mistake we make in leadership is when things are happening, instead of accepting that maybe this thing has a propensity of derailing our cause, let's just try to water it down. It's not serious. Like one of my brothers was saying, Sir Joseph, leave it. This is off election. This is election off season. 2025 is off season. Things will start to pick up again from 2027. Okay, that's what
Mr. Solly,
so if you having all this defection in this.
Mr. Solly, let me follow up here. You think the lack of Sir Joseph should be taken serious now? Because
yes,
we're talking about CDC soliciting $30 million bribe on a $500 million investment and $10 million on a $100 million investment. He's saying that now. He knew of it then, and shouldn't men be taken serious in the first place?
Exactly. Listen, I understand that that's a saying that every runaway nun will always criticize a convent. So he's a runaway nun and he will criticize his convent. He knew it. He was part of it. Everything he's saying, I take it seriously. I believe everything he's saying because he was part of it. He did not say anything at the time because they were all part of it. Okay, now that he's stepping aside, it will be the time to put out the dirty linen. That's what happens all the time. A husband and wife can be in the marriage for 5, 10, 20 years. You don't hear anything about them. Once they split up, then they say all the worst things that, they were doing to each other. That's exactly what's happening to Sir Joseph. So anybody who leaves the CDC, whether they were in serious position, they were not in serious position, at this point in this off-election year, when everything is just dead cold, if you losing people, what will happen when you get to 2027, 2028? So take it seriously and start to close ranks and say, okay, what can we do differently so that the people we already have, we maintain them, they don't leave. Instead, they try to water it down. Sir Joseph was nothing. This other person left. This Tamafala was nothing. This other person left. it's only failures that think that way. Every time you lose one person, it should be, something that should be a wake-up call. Don't just water it down like, oh, it's nothing happening. So if they don't control what is happening in this off-election season, it might haunt them by the time they get to 2027, 2028.
Jimmy, put on your political thinking cap here. Some argue, Akara Grace in particular, that we have made men, and he mentioned himself, he mentioned Sir Joseph, he mentioned Tom Onfala. In other words, CDC produced men, made people from nowhere. Sir Joseph is one of such person. If you look at Sir Joseph politically now, is he well established that minus CDC, he will still be a relevant political figure in Liberia? The second piece is the whole idea of the headquarters. I mean, is it immaterial, or will it have any impact on CDC not having that place at its headquarters?
Well, let's deal with the headquarters first. My understanding of that headquarters is family property. And Archibald Bernard was behind the CDC, but it wasn't his property proper. It's family estate, and he leased it out to CDC, and CDC may have had the intention to buy it eventually, but it's not Archibald's to sell. So when the case was finally arbitrated, Dempster, one of Archibald's, I think his aunt's son, won the case. And so Dempster is not willing to sell that property. As you well know, the property is prime property right on the main road. And he's not willing to sell that place. So there was some planning in CDC's disfavor, because they thought being in power they might have gotten it. So I don't see that too much of an oversight, because I noticed even with the Unity Party, they too, with the McCains, they had the headquarters. It was owned by the McCains, and they too fell in arrears with the McCains, and they had to leave. So it appears that political parties, I mean, they have to really buy a building, or should they just lease? We got another building. You see that eyesore in Liberia, the True Party building. That's how it used to be called, but it's the Ejiro building. And till today, nobody wants to touch it. It's just withering away. So it may not be the wisest thing to actually secure property for a party. Yes, if it's a well-established party, you might want to do that, but you don't know how long these parties are. You mentioned NDPL is no more, and many parties are no more. Do they want to put that much investment in it? So as for the property business, the headquarters, I don't think that's a major indication of anything. But with the departing of members, the first part of the question you asked is CDC withering away? Are they getting weaker? I think they made some mistakes in their pursuit for the second term. They had a lot of money, and they didn't spend it the wisest way. They took a lot for granted, and now they're feeling the brunt of all of that. So can they regroup? Yes, they can, but do we need some charismatic leader? George Weah does still enjoy popularity, but they're going to have to convince people that they're going to go there for the people. They're going to be about the people. There's many in the minds of many that they didn't do enough for people. Only few people reaped the benefits of that administration, and it became a kind of club. It wasn't the whole party as a whole didn't feel the love and the loot of the administration. So I would think it is possible, but they will have a lot of groundwork to do, and maybe a merger, because all of them, remember now, UP got this because of a merger, a very important merger. If UP didn't merge with MDR, having Prince Johnson on their side, who swayed a lot of NIMA votes, NIMA being one of the most populous counties, it was critical. It was critical having his support. So what will be now? Do we see the MDR still throwing their weight behind a UP? Do we see a potential union between maybe the CDC, maybe ANC, maybe CMC? So I think we're seeing a new
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy. That appears, how does the CDC post-power trajectory now compared to the TWP, the NDPL, and the MPP? What lesson can CDC learn from these parties to avoid political extinction as it happened to TWP, NDPL, and MPP?
Thank you, Anthony. Look, I think this entire situation where CDC headquarters is making a mountain out of a molehill, for me, I think it's a complete distraction by the Unity Party and its parties in to take away from more substantive concerns of the Liberian people in the bread and butter issue. I would say to you, quite frankly, when you have a tenant in your property in Liberia that I grew up and lived in all my life, you look for tenants who are able to add value to your property, and these are tenants you hold close to your heart. People who take good care of your property and add value to it. Unless there's a personal beef between the Dempsters and the party stores of the CDC, then I see this whole thing as politically motivated, because the fact that they're even talking about Dempster talking about selling at a $4 million for a property, even though it's considered prime property, but I mean it's ridiculous, right? And I think what the Dempsters are doing does not show any reasonability on the part of someone who has some good conscience to say, I have a tenant who have improved and add value to my property. I have a tenant who has not reneged on paying. If I had to push them to pay, they will pay the money. So then what the essence of getting rid of them from the property? I mean, that whole thing is political. But let me say this. CDC is not the only political party. The other panelists have said that have had the same situation. Almost all of the major political parties are moving from here and there, from one party headquarters to another when they get kicked out. So for me, it's not something strange. But that's what I was saying. Look, I hear people making all kinds of mentions that, oh, CDC is in peril, CDC is in a dark place, CDC may collapse. All major political parties that have left power in Liberia had a similar situation where people are grasshoppering from the losing party to the winning party. It is not strange to Liberia. Liberia, look, I don't want to use the word, the P word, but that's how politicians are in Liberia. It's a common thing. But I would say this. I would say, and the question you asked is the more relevant question. We should get more institutional driven. All right, so that we strengthen institutions in the absence of individual party can still stand and continue. I would say this, in the absence of that party headquarters, I would be thinking, is CDC through George Manning, we are former president, is going to pivot with a new dimension of party politics in the country, so that the CDC leaves from being thrown out to building their own property, unlike the UP who left from thrown out from a rented property, go back to another rented property with a chance of being thrown out another time. I would like to see former President George Manning lead the CDC to building their own party headquarters. And that will just demonstrate his leadership. That would demonstrate his concern for his party and the love for the party. And I mentioned this on my page today. Based upon the diabolical lies and hypocrisy of the Unity Party propaganda coming to power and all the lies they told, if George Manning had a national campaign to contribute to a party headquarters, even though I'm a ANC stalwart, I will contribute to that project, because he will be the first politician who has demonstrated in modern times that in the midst of adversity, there can be positivity. And those are the things we want to see in leadership. In conflict, bring positive change and turn the situation around for the better. And I close on this. Listen, no amount of dropout from CDC can destroy CDC unless George Manning Weah is removed from the equation. As long as George Manning Weah remains in the equation, and I support ANC, George Manning Weah will either be first in any presidential election or he'll be second. Nothing will change that. Nothing will change that. And I will call my political leader, Mr. Cummings, to start to have talks with George Manning Weah. So while the hypocrites are walking out, the backstabbers are walking out, the political grasshopper are walking out the President Burger did to the CPP, and let the CPP to go into the dream because he found another way out of the opposition unity, I will ask President, my incoming president, Alexander Benedict Cummings, to go and have a conversation with Mr. Weah to ensure that we build up a momentum for 2029. Even if Mr. Cummings go as vice president, I will encourage him to do that. Because why? George Manning Weah only have one term left, and when that one term is finished, Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings will be president after that term, because he will ensure that the country is put on the right trajectory.
Thank you. Let me come to you, Dr. Williams here. Can the CDC regain public trust, and what will it require? And another like to add, should the CDC consider a new standard bearer for 2029 to rebrand and rebuild?
So Anthony, Dr. Pearson has me a bit hilarious right now. But I would hope this platform wouldn't be used as a campaign platform. We can talk the issues all we want, but 2029 is still far away, and there's a lot to be done. I said in my opening that one of my jobs, fortunately, has been or was working with political parties across the country. I was the program officer for the International Republican Institute. That role required me to engage and train political parties across the country. To do so effectively, I had to go back into time and study political party history, and my judgment, and this is subjective, my judgment as far as party politics is concerned in Liberia is all around the great man principle, or what we call the great man syndrome. One big guy comes, he organizes a party, everybody rally around. There have been, however, there have been few parties that have that did shift away from that. Notable among them would be the True Party, the United People's Party, the Liberian People's Party, and the Liberian Action Party. The rest was centered around an individual. From Liberty Party, that had Charles Bronson had like 5 political parties registered in 2005. In 2005. And gradually it boiled down to one, Liberty Party. He ended up with that. And those parties, a lot of those parties you talk about today, the NDPL, you name them, they've all dissipated. We have skeletons calling themselves political parties today. And that's critical, especially for us who are political actors today. Look around. Let's look at our institutions. I see my friend and brother Musa Bilita doing great works. And I laud him for those efforts. Politically, Musa and I were great friends. But what will happen today, for example, if something were to happen economically with Musa Bilita and his resources? Can we argue openly that CMC can continue to survive? That's an absolute no. Because we know that the people who follow CMC today were hemorrhaging. They were looking around for somewhere to hide. We go to ANC. Alexander Cummings that we talk about today does not represent the kind of leadership and the rigor and fervor of leadership that will take our country anywhere. This man has stood for nothing. When leaders were standing up and deciding that I either go this way or go right and left, this man left the country. When his population, people like Dr. Pearson, were looking to him for direction, he left. He left. And so when we come to the situation of CDC, CDC is no different from many of the parties that were established before that. And many of those that still exist, clinically exist in our country today. And so there are efforts, a political party law is being formulated. It's being formulated to look at some of these clinically dead institutions that call themselves political parties today. That's part of our problem. That's part of our problem. I know a guy, Sam Bully, whose only claim to fame has been the political party established by his brother. His brother Pat, he continues to run that party. I've forgotten the name now. But every elections, he pops up because of the party. And so CDC, unlike many of the other institutions, CDC, maybe Liberty Party, I can include them in there because of their hold in government today. But the CDC follows a different persuasion. It's not an institution, again, primarily because it follows the big man syndrome. It's not an institution, but that dysfunction in a way makes that party strong. The dysfunction of the CDC makes it strong. We talk about headquarters today. Yes, they did horrendous mistakes by not even building a party headquarters. But trust me, if George Weah, in all his limitations, will reflect on where he is, where that party needs to go, with all the property he has, why would CDC even be fighting for a party headquarters? Why? It just makes no sense. So between now and the end of the month, if CDC doesn't have a party headquarters, CDC is going nowhere. Because the people in leadership of CDC have the wherewithal, the McGill, the Samuel Twer, and with everything they've been able to amass over the last 6 years, there's absolutely no reason why the party shouldn't have a headquarters. And I personally will educate the population that if that party does not have a headquarters, there is absolutely no level of reasoning they can bring to the people of Liberia to trust them into power again. Because what have they done with the resources they have? Where did they go? And why should people trust them after an horrendous mistake like they made for 6 years? Give them power again to do what? How? Why? And so, to my friends who are sympathizers of the CDC, to my friends who are members of political parties that are centered around an individual, please take your time, talk to them. Look at history, look back in history and see where such parties have ended up. Okay, and 2029 is not far, but it's far. A lot can happen. A lot can happen. People are already complaining. I hear Muslim villager already complaining about the tank farm with LPRC. Unity Party, on the other hand, has no party headquarters. They too have put their party officials all over government. The issue of the party and the party headquarters and the sustainability of the party is left in oblivion. And so we're hoping they will learn, that each of these parties will learn from there. Liberty Party tried. They turned over the leadership of their party to another strong man. And what happened to Liberty Party? They basically had to beg it away from this strong man. And so the strong man syndrome has always been a reason why our political party landscape has been as fluid as it continues to be. But I'm hopeful for CDC. I think they're going to rise up, and I think they will. People will go, but CDC will remain.
Thank you. Brother Tao. Is the CDC going to be around for a long time, with or without Joshua?
For me, I'll look at this in this way. A lot of my fellow panelists have said some really good stuff, and pretty much they sum it up. But this is what I would say. You know, I hear people talking about that whether they build political party headquarters, that all this stuff really don't matter. They can even build one that is bigger than the mansion. They won't even do it. You have to see how they even treat the political parties that they lead or they are part of. They don't even respect it. They don't even believe in it. They have no real ideological or framework. Because remember, we're talking about big man syndrome. Big man syndrome exists when there is no ideological framework.
Exactly.
What is the ideology? What is the ideology of the parties? What is it that, because these people are empty heads, actually, they're only coming to loot. That's it. So all they have is some double bag to fill up. So there are no ideologies. So they don't look beyond themselves. They're not looking at generations unborn that will carry out what? If they're no ideology, what are they going to follow? So Opon or Ellen or Cummings, they can have all this land, and they're not going to really be able to put their money in it because they only look at themselves. They're not looking beyond. But if the Liberian people could actually see, both at home and abroad here, you see how the parties treat themselves. They say charity begins at home, right? So then what makes you think that then you believe in them that they will come and do something for the country, something they can do for themselves within their internal organization? So this is what I'm looking at. But to answer your question, in Liberia, everything and the democracy, the so-called multi-party. Remember, let us internalize this. It is only in Africa that the West continues to scream and shout multi-party democracy. What really is this multi-party democracy? It's division, it's confusion, it's corruption, it's tension, it's chaos. Okay? So they push it so that you're weak, so that there's so many different factions. You are here in the US, the United States, a one-party state with just two names. These two names are sponsored by the same billionaires and corporations. They write all of the laws, they write everything, and then they put the people that will work for them in front of you. Every major country that is stable, that is actually moving in an orderly fashion into the future, they're actually one-party state. Look at the UK. The UK is a one-party state. Forget about the stuff that the House of Law and House of Commons. Look at China. Look at Russia. Look at Iran. Look at the Philippines. These are one-party states. It is only in Africa that they push this stuff to where small country Liberia have 23. Why are we buying into this? I continue to come here for a whole year. I'm not the first person to say this. We have experts, our experts, Africans, have studied this. They've looked at it. We have to, what are these political parties for? To work towards your benefit. If it's not working, throw it in the trash bin of history. Look for something else. It's never going to work. So you have, and the reason that they can't even have an ideology, my brother, small country Liberia, you have 23 parties, 24 parties. How many other issues are there that they can each pick up on and be able to really develop into something? It doesn't work. So CDC building party headquarters or the other person building in the first place, they have no interest in their own party. They only come in there to loot. So they just found someone to squat. These are squatters. They squat for that moment. And when it's done, guess what? CDC will go ahead and lease another area and they will move around. It's possible they can win because this thing that it gives you is popularity context. Tell me, Mr. C, for you to have a leader, because I always call on our African culture and tradition in which the leaders are cultivated, that is almost like nobody, us as African, we are told that nothing about ourselves is good enough. That is primitive. But leaders don't just show up. You are cultivated through so many steps. You hold this position, that position, you demonstrate towards a long period of time, and then you rise. So that when you get there, you are seasoned through how to run. What did George Weah do in terms of leadership, managing anything? Boyka, Elling, the comments that they're talking about, the Musa Bellet that they're talking about. They want to tell me that Musa Bellet is so wealthy, he want to come here. Musa Bellet, where was the wealth until he linked up with the Elling government? Where they were able to loot that country when he himself said on radio, I came with 5 million, I left with 50 million. Where was he? But we want to come here. So these people, they have not done anything, really.
Thank you.
They're not cultivated. So they come up here. I was in charge of Lone Star. I was over pressing around Lone Star. He destroyed that national team. He couldn't even manage that team as a captain, as a leader.
Thank you, Joe.
The country, and you think that he should perform miracle, you can't get out of a man what he doesn't have. Boyka served in many places. He failed there. You gave him the country. This is the problem. But democracy, the multi-party democracy that they give you that's popularity context, this is what it does. Somebody go and build a couple of bridges. That's supposed to qualify them for leadership, to run the country. Somebody put small turf on some football field, it's supposed to qualify them for leadership, to run the country. This is where we are.
Thank you.
That sense of failure would never work.
Thank you. Mr. Salih, I saw you shaking your head in disagreement when Mr. Tao said that most successful nations are more like a one-party state. Reggie, saw your disagreement here. Unmute, please. Unmute.
Sorry, that's remotely not true. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. The problem is not whether we have single party state or multi-party state. Everything is about the reason those other countries are developed and they are, experiencing growth is not because they got unitary state or their unitary party, unit-party. No, that's not the reason. It's because they are patriotic. They want to grow their country, and I concur with Tao's conclusion. These people who have failed, those are the people we come to recycle. We are completely dump the national team. We say, oh, come and run country. Boyka, everything, for over 40 years, 50 years, he has experience. What was his experience? What was his achievement? Even 12 years as vice president, what did he achieve? Road did not even go to his own hometown. The church that I will always go back, the church the man has been deacon in Effort Baptist Church. That church remained uncompleted. They just flashed whitewash on the wall for the 12 years. Boyka was vice president. Pinned, he could not even put on his own, on the Church of God. And that is the man that you say, oh, come and run a country. I mean, it's not about multi-party or single party. It's about we, the people. We have not got to the point to say, I think we need to vet people who are going into leadership. We want the best until we get it. All these things fall back to our educational system. And that's why I believe there has to come a time we have to start teaching leadership, even from elementary school. It's something I started because when I was still in school in Nigeria, I visited Liberia, and I think they had just started the Mother Patton School of Health, the Catholic people. And it happened that I was on their campus and they were conducting student leadership. And I was sitting, these two girls were talking to each other. This one already had who she was voting for. And then her friend came talking, hey, who you going to vote for the election? She said, oh, this is the person I think that has the best platform that I can vote for. Then she said, hey man, but why you can't vote for my brother? I said, who your brother? Oh, that other guy. Oh, I didn't know he was your brother. Or then I will vote for him. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're not voting because people have platform because they want to achieve anything. We're voting because of foolishness. And so it doesn't matter if we have one party or two party or multi-party, it will still be the same. And for that day, I decided, I think we need to take leadership to the elementary school and start teaching, grooming from the cradle. Why you vote for people who want your vote? Why should you vote? What are you looking at? Then let me come back to Dr. Pearson talking about CDC teaming up with
ANC and Cummings.
ANC. Listen, Cummings will not get anything. I have said it. And my friends have been diehard Cummings fans. When I was still in Liberia, I had some of his executives that tried to recruit me. Cummings will end up just like Gabriel Bacchus Matthews. He will have the popularity, he will win nothing. Cummings will never be president in Liberia. He has missed all his chances. I tried to call them to advise them. The same thing that happened to Cummings, it happened in Nigeria when that brought Goodluck Jonathan to power. When Nigeria decided, okay, for the first time, let's bring in the South so that they too can be vice president. The first governor they spoke to was the Cross River State governor, Donald Duke. They said, come and be vice president of Yaradua. Donald Duke said he was too classical, he's too clean. How can he be VP to Emele Yaradua? Instead of teaming up with Yaradua, that's how they went and looked for Goodluck Jonathan. They said, hey, come and do it. And he said, yes. Yaradua went under 2 years and he died. And that's how Goodluck Jonathan ended the 2 years and went for his own 4 years and ended. Cummings can never be president on his own. From the very first election when Ellen left, he would have teamed up with JNB and he would have been vice president. He would have left. By now, Cummings should have been president. No, Cummings always wants to stand on his own. People advise him, no, he goes the wrong way. You have people like crook like Musa ability deceiving. They say, come this other election, come and go with JMB and be VP. No, Musa ability say you can do it on your own. 1%, that's why he got. Cummings can never be president in Liberia. The CDC is not coming back to power. Anybody who would think CDC after the 6 years we have seen, they should bring them back. The people knew nothing about what to do, and they did all this corruption. Now they know all the loopholes. You bring them back, Liberia will crumble to her knees. It would be foolhardy to say, oh, bring back the CDC. That's complete foolishness. Cummings will end up, he will get all the popularity. He's not getting anything else.
Thank you. That leave it there. You know, I'm moderating, but I am tempted yet. I don't know what I should do. Look, to dismiss the CDC, to write the CDC out, is a mistaken calculation.
They're not coming back.
Who would have thought that Unity Party, after 12 years, will come back to power? Yeah, they are. They evicted them from their headquarters as CDC is facing eviction now. They will come to win. The CDC went to every second round from the time it started when it had no experience. If you look at the Unity Party and you look at the CDC, the Unity Party has so much failures on its hands compared to the CDC. The Unity Party came back to power because the CDC did not do a better job. Equally so, if the Unity Party failed to do a better job, just as the CDC got little support from NDR and came back to power, the CDC can welcome to power. We heard songs like Pape with Sare and this, that. So these were voters having remorse that they should have gone with Joseph Walker. And that song, the meaning came to pass, but Joseph Walker became president. I heard similar song was sang for George Weah. The CDC is a grassroots political party. Look, if you look in the Southeast, there are about around 15,000, around Jira about 10,000 or more individuals who did not vote. If they have voted, maybe CDC will have netted over 50% of those votes. Why they didn't vote? Because CDC, as they saw at their own, took them for granted, and so they stay away. Is the Unity Party doing them well? If the Unity Party is not doing that well, they will say, well, we were mistaken to have not voted for our own. So this time we're going for our own because Unity Party is not doing us well. I have a lot of good friends in the Unity Party. Many of you might know that. And I continue to tell them to dismiss the CDC is a huge mistake. All we has to do is to come on the ballot, say nothing, collaborate with few political parties, and he's in the second round. And the next thing you know, if we are experiencing economic hardship in Liberia, the choice will be between the two again. And so I agree with Dr. Pearson to be advising Cummings publicly that, look, Cummings, if you know what I know, you'd rather go to Weah. Do I like Weah for president? Absolutely no. Can he deliver? Of course, I don't think he should be president for Liberia. And I'm saying that so publicly. He's from Sastan, I'm from Sastan. That is not his thing. But I don't decide presidency. The people do. And the people always do what they've always done because they have limited choices in their judgment. Because when you tell them, say, yeah, when you say, oh, that man, I don't want to waste my vote, you will not go anywhere. And you say, oh, let that, Williams, yes, oh, that man just coming from America, and I don't want to waste my vote. But they were settled for CDC and Unity Party at the end of the day. And when they compare those two, they say, well, this one have been in power now, we're not enjoying, so we're going where they're lesser of the two evils. That scenario will play again. To avoid that will require a robust collective effort from the opposition political parties that will come together and go against the CDC and the Unity Party in a fight. That fight will be the toughest of all. Meaning you're telling me that I should be coming standing alone, maybe to Colorado Railway Vibe, or CMC, and what do we have Liberty Party? Can Liberty Party come to Unity, ANC and do business? Maybe not, given the bloodbath that they experienced in the marriage they had. So if you look in between there, we don't have much.
True. And
so this is the reality. And I tell anybody so openly, I do not want Georgia for president because it will be a waste of time. Just I strongly believe Joseph Boakai is a waste of time to be president of Liberia. These are my opinions, and I hold them so dearly in the face of the president himself and my friends who are in government and occupy significant position. That's the only thing I enjoy in the world, to speak my mind and speak it so boldly, without fear. Always dying in anybody's house. But these are the realities that we face politically. I will leave it and bring you the last topic.
Anthony, just quick, just 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
I wanted to. Dr. Pierce, I wanted to push back on that, then you can react to that.
No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, so
CMC, so let him push back.
Yeah, and you know what, Tao and Sally, they knock on the CMC other one. Yeah, I don't really. But let me say this: there is one little technicality that will prevent Cummins and Weah from going on the same ticket. They are both from the southeast. That's what I wanted to say.
That's true.
Well,
Okay. No, the simple answer to that, it doesn't mean because you're from the southeast, it means you can come from the southeast.
Can't come from the city county.
I think we have to do with county level politics. What you're talking about, but yeah. I will leave that. I'll leave a legal mind to argue. Let me tell you something.
We have President Boakai and Jeremiah Kuhn from the same region. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that was answer those say, but they're not from the same region.
No, the same region. It's not the same county, but the same region.
Not same county. Mr. Namwe, are they not from the north?
They're from the north. Now, let me
and Lofa not from the north.
Yeah, they're from the north. It's the same thing.
All right.
No, yeah. The one say that is
Grand Crew County does not have. No, it does have a common bowler. Let me not do that to myself.
Oh, your own county.
I think the Liberian law. They cannot come from the state.
Let me not do that to myself. So, but gentlemen, I go to the last topic.
My 5 seconds. Quick.
Yeah, 5 seconds. Sustain. Go ahead.
Let me say this. The reason why I'm pivoting my political leader to sway to the opposition, because we're in the CMCO, CDCO, ANC, we are all in opposition. In fact, ANC is closer to CDC than any other political party in Liberia. ANC is a spring child from CDC. Let me say this. The biggest currency that CDC has right now, that George Weah has right now, is the failure of the propagandists, the failure of President Boakai to have given legitimate evidence by conviction through other reports that the lies that they told against CDC were facts. Because they renege on those audits and they did not push for legitimate prosecution of people they claim stole money from Liberia. That will legitimize the standing of the propaganda of CDC to say that everything that was told against CDC was a lie and it will stand.
Thank you.
Can I just have 5 seconds, please?
Yeah. Let's get from the CMC.
Yeah, let me just remind my brother ST Saliva, and he's a guy I have a lot of respect for. But let me remind you, brother, and you're a politician. Politics is the art of the possible. There's never impossibility in politics. And Girama, you told me that. So I heard you say, Cummings would never be president, because girl mafia. No, it doesn't have to go the same way. I think Alex Cummings has a very good chance. He has a pathway if he is strategic enough. I know that because I advised the CPP in the last election. I really believe if Alex Cummings can rework his strategy, he has a good shot. I'll leave it there. My brother Tawo, all of us, we begin from somewhere. Today you can be poor and tomorrow you'll be rich. And I said because you were poor yesterday and therefore you're a poor man, you don't deserve to be rich. Musa abilities, financial, urban mobility predates Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Let me just tell you that. What you say here is untrue. It predates Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I'm not going to argue about how much you have, whatever.
Jim Victor, you want to do that?
Yes, I will. Yes, I want to do it. I'm ready. I will tell you.
You can't do that. You can't do that. There's no record.
I mean, you allow Musa to defend himself because this is
there's no record. There's no record.
I have a responsibility.
You are a member of his party.
I know how
he's being accused. Now you want to go to the defense.
I know how Musa got his start. He got his start from Amos Sawyer. And Amos Sawyer predates Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I know that for a fact. Thank you.
What? No.
Victor, number one.
No. You got it wrong. That I can tell you. You got it wrong. Amos Sawyer doesn't predate Sirleaf.
Musa got his break from Amos Sawyer.
In other words, you are saying that he got his money from Amos Sawyer. Can you prove that? That's what it means.
He's there.
No,
like his financial standing.
Jake Victor, I started drinking the water. So
that's why you're standing me.
Don't worry about
Jake Victor,
that. Drinking the water.
I know I'm a GM brother, but I will advise you. Musa is a competent man to defend how he got his
word. He's not here.
Supporting Musa, I will urge you not to get in that territory.
That's Sunday. Don't worry. Let's go ahead.
Please debate your party plans. Musa is an individual. He's competent. For me, who here? Dennis, who is my boss? Dennis will defend himself.
Okay.
I can only defend the institution that we have, that we run together. That's all I can do.
Thank you. Let's
go to the last one here, gentlemen. So Sylvester Grisby has fallen. May his soul rest in peace. And he had occupied a consequential position in our country. The chief administrator of the Republic of Liberia, chief of office staff to the president, the man who has the ears of the country. It's no more. President Bouacar need that able lieutenant. So let us discuss this very soberly. What kind of thought should be put into this? Who should be considered? What are the factors that should be looked at to decide who becomes the next Minister of Presidential Affairs? What are the things the president should look for in a person? What are the qualities the president should look for, and why? So let's discuss it. I think this is very important. Without not mentioning names, but I'll push you. Who you think should not come close to this post, and who you think maybe has some of the ingredients needed for a much better chief administrator in the office of the president? Let's start with you. You are a teacher. Teach us a little bit.
So this is what and how I will respond to that question. The prerogative rests in the president's comfortability with whomsoever he so identifies.
Fair enough.
One of the reasons I believe Sylvester Grisby was selected was based on historic friendships.
Well, he dropped out.
Yeah, he
I got to remove him.
He's not yet. Oh, Jimmy, get us started.
I don't know where he is, but my life.
Okay.
We got a storm here, so I don't know what's happening.
Definitely, he has to be comfortable with the man, and for Buckeye, that will be somebody of senior stature, where he's knows for long and can trust. He also has to have strong organization. That office filters everything that goes to the president, and therefore he will have to in part run run the show while the president is not there. And is he back now?
Oh. Yeah, he's back now. Let give back. Please yield to him. That go ahead, please.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'm sorry. I was saying that a primary factor of influence in terms of that decision rests in the ambit of the president's comfortability with whoever it is. Normally, the president chooses one of his greatest confidants because that person manages the office of the president. And so it was no surprise to see the likes of the late Albert Grisby sit in the office as chief of staff because they go way back. From what I'm told, they go way back in the high school days, CWA.
Yeah.
Given where the president is and what has been done so far in terms of the dysfunction that was experienced initially in his term, and now that there's a level of stability going on, my projections, knowing what I know in terms of the personalities that exist currently at the ministry and in the office of the president, my estimation is that whoever replaces Honorable Grisby is going to come right out of that office. Now, in that office, there's several individuals. There's Deputy Minister Sam Steve Koya. There's the Director of the Cabinet, Mr. Nathaniel Kwabo. There's the Senior Policy Advisor, Dr. Augustine Kane. There's the National Security Advisor, Sir Anthony Samuel Kofi Woods. And that's just in the office of the president. There may be many others. There's Robert Kwade, who is at our mission in Europe, the maritime mission in Europe, who was just in Monrovia the other day. There are many others that could be considered. All of these people we're naming have been people who walked the path along with the president, at least over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And so my estimations strongly will be someone from the current office, a staff of the office who will take over, and not someone from outside.
Okay. Yeah. So if I were to finish, I say he has to be someone Buckeye has known for a long time. And I kind of leaning to where Dr. George just mentioned about that office, but I didn't see he mentioned Anthony Kessley. Kessley, I think, also has a good possibility. He's a staunch UP person, and he's been around for a minute, and they're from that era also. So I see him also being a strong candidate there. You know, honestly, if it was left for somebody who are diehard for Boakai, but I think it would be something else. It would be Jokai, your buddy Anthony. I think that guy would he would be on cloud 9 if he gets to that position. You already see how he's doing to what the place called a civil service. He would make all the rules for the country. But yeah, I narrow it down to Kessley, and for loyalists, I'll say Jokai.
You're muted.
There's a temperament that goes with that office as well, so we should take that into consideration.
And who you think should not go near that office? Who will not make a good candidate at all?
Anthony Kessley will not make a good candidate. His temperament does not marry what is expected of that office.
Okay.
You know? Yeah, Anthony Kessley is totally out. That's why I deliberately omitted his name. You know? With the Joker case, it takes me back to the Liberia national team. We had a very good coach, youth coach, who took care of the under-17. They started to do well, and before long, they took him to the senior national team. Less than a year, he got fired because the senior national team wasn't producing. if Joker is producing at civil service, I think he needs to stay there and hold his horses there, leave a legacy behind. Don't be in a rush to ascend.
So,
Instead
the
that
one who has a history of producing should be kept there, and some with no proven history of reform should be pulled there because we don't want noise.
So the Minister of State does not institute reform. No. Their job is to manage the office of the president. They're not one of those institutions that go out reforming. No. Their job is to manage the office of the president. And that's it.
But the office of the president, the office of the president is representative of the head of government. Is that correct?
We agree. That's why the president has other functionaries to provide him those ideas.
Okay.
Primarily, the Minister of State administrates the office of the president. That's it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me come to you, man of God, Pastor Salif. Who should not come near that office, and what should President Bouaka be looking for?
Well, right now, I am not going to pretend I don't know the composition of the office, but now that, may his soul rest in peace, Grace Base out, didn't he have a deputy? Was that not somebody who, when he wasn't there, that deputized for him? That would be somebody to look at. But, however, the JMB administration has series of missteps, and most of us on this platform, we laid most of that blame at the feet of Grisby, who was not guiding the president, directing him in the right way, giving him the right advice. I don't think that position should just be for somebody, because we had long history, we were friends from high school. No. Any president, any leader who wants to do well, you want somebody who is objective. You want that, you see, there's somebody in my life that I love, that butt person, who if you want to do something and they know it's wrong, they can tell you to your face, boss, you the boss, I know, but if you do this, this is going to be the fallout. This will be. You need somebody who is objective, who can guide you, who can cut down some of your excesses. All the things we're talking, he needs his buddy. When you're looking for a buddy to head that office, you're looking for a yes man. And then Bouaka will continue to make the same mistake. So he has the golden opportunity to reset, because his administration, there were too many missteps. Okay, so this is the opportunity to find somebody who is more objective, who understands your vision, who can align with your vision and point you in the right direction. That person might not be your long-term friend, but that person should have some elements of credibility. They should have some element of integrity, that this advice this person is giving is not from any selfish interest. This is somebody who wants me to succeed. That's just the kind of person you want to put in that office, not just a long-term buddy like Grisby was.
Dr. Pearson, should President Bouaka be looking for a buddy, a lawyer person, or someone who can disagree with him and advise him for the good of the country?
And Anthony, I think if I were giving someone an award for reading my mind, I would have given you the first place award for reading my mind. Look, this is why Liberia is failing. President Bouaka wants people around me who he can twist the arm, and anything he says should be yes sir. So he getting everybody from Lofa, he's running other option. Right? Now let me say this. At vehemently can say on the palavra how he tell you. I vehemently disagree that we need somebody who President Bouaka is comfortable with. I strongly disagree with that selection. I strongly disagree with anyone currently around him serving as advisor. In fact, in my playbook, they should be dismissed for misleading him for the past 18 months. He has made so many false starts. He has made so many mistakes that were avoidable. And none of them capable for that position. And again, no long-term friend, an old-term friend. No, I reject that. And last but not least, no diehard partisans from UP. No, I reject that. What do we need? What President Bouaka needs for Liberia to be successful? He needs someone who is competent. Someone who is competent. He should make a selection based on merit of the best Liberian fit for that position. And he should allow a team with him at this critical juncture where Liberia is right now, we're struggling. He needs a team that will vet people for that position on the basis of competence. And in addition, it should be people that he will trust. Meaning, if they give list to him, it should be someone he can trust, not someone who can flip-flop between political standard bearers. When the wind blow their way, they flip there. When blow that way, they flip where the sunshine, you hang your clothes. No, zero. We don't need that. Someone he can trust. And that person you come, someone who respects him. Those are the things that I align with. Competence, trust, and respect. Not comfortability, not current office staff because they are all a failure. Not known for long-term friendship. That one not Vlad. Not that how you pace. They will be sycophants. Complete sycophants. Let me say this. And I will close.
And who fit this very beautiful description you are giving?
If you are hearing me tonight, if somebody passed the broadcast by you, let it be a female. Let it be a female. Let it be a female who you understand has the country at heart and have the competence for that job, because the female are good at having that role served. We
like
may not give them the chance, but I go by what Pastor said. Dr. William said, he said it's an office assistant. It's someone who will help direct your office and keep you on point and make your office run well. Who have we normally depend on to keep us in point, even in our homes? Our wives.
We can't be sexist.
I'm not being sexist. I'm saying balance the equation. It should be a female.
But
I think they will say.
Thank you. I don't know why you have an issue with him saying it should be that's a suggestion. That's
a suggestion. But again, every opportunity we can to educate the public, we should. Dr. Pearson is negating the reality. He's more idealistic. The Liberian reality is whoever goes to serve, especially in the executive, is appointed by the president's will and pleasure.
I don't like the will and pleasure thing. I don't like it.
That's the Constitution.
That's what it is. And so along those lines, comfortability is a primary, not competence. Comfortability is a primary factor.
So are you suggesting you prefer someone who will not tell you, Mr. President, this will not be good for you for the country, Mr. President, I advise you don't do this. It will be comfortability and say yes sir. Like he said to Donald Trump, yes sir.
Dr. Pearson, that's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. It's a faulty analogy that because somebody is comfortable with someone means the person is not competent and not courageous enough to engage there. That's faulty. That's faulty. Comfortability means incorporates all of that. Look, I don't believe that Griswold was not strong enough to tell the president, Mr. President, we'll do this, we'll do that. Long-standing friendships incorporates all of that. So let's not throw that away.
That's not education for our people. That cannot be education for our people.
If you became president today, the first group of people you will appoint will be your friends that you know.
No. I mean, let me push back. No, that's not true. When you become president,
when you become president, it will be a
20 years in, right?
If I became president today, I will look for Dennis' job and send him to sign up because I know that's a job he's always wanted. So Dennis will go show and prove to me that after almost 20 years, wanted to be superintendent of Sino County, let him go do what he needs to do so that he will not come back to beg me. If he does not perform, he's done. I will do the same thing for you. I will put you in a very lucrative position. So all this idealism and you
with all due respect, if that's a criteria for appointing me, I will reject it. I will go in there to reject. I will have
you will have the option to reject.
And I reject your appointment.
It will be on you to reject, but I will put you there so that we can measure your idealism and youthful exuberance against the reality.
To be
It's
fair, yeah.
reality.
To be fair, yeah. Dr. Pearson, I think Dr. Williams is missing a good point here. For me, my friends that I know that I'm comfortable with, I can say anything in their face.
Yeah.
But if you see a stranger, to tell a stranger straight, to tell the stranger something in the face, you can be a little more comfortable. And so, but it depends on the individual. Some people, they are your friends, they will not tell you the truth. Those who I'm friends with, they know I will tell them the truth.
Exactly.
Because I know we are friends and there's nothing they can do to me. You understand? And I understand that to tell them the truth is the best way I can be a friend to them.
To them.
Right? To save them from trouble.
It sounds like
it also depends on the individual.
If that was true,
they see the boss man at God, they don't want to say anything to offend them. Those are the people that are dangerous.
If that was true, then George Weah would have been successful because he surrounded himself with all his buddies. I don't see any good advice that they give him.
Reverend,
you don't need. Yes,
I call you for a point. The people around George Weah were not his friends.
They were friends.
No. They
Most
were
of them
not
were friends.
Those people popped up overnight. Go back into George Weah's history. The Eugene Lango were not his friend. George Weah's true friends were not the people around him. Look, those of us who've been in football, we know who George Weah friends are. The George Weah true friends are the ones complaining on Facebook today. Not the ones you see. They are not friends. The ones he played with, he threw them away. There's absolutely not one person around George Weah who you say, well, we hit 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
Where are you taking that information from? Where are you taking that information from? Because the man play football, President Weah is already getting government job. Like, what are you trying to say on the public radio?
Dr. Pearson, you're an intellectual. I'm an intellectual. Listen to what I say. Do not impute your own meaning to what I say. I am saying to you that the people who George Weah has around him today were not his friends 30 years ago. He played no football with them 30 years ago.
But who told you George Weah played football?
The people he played football with, he's barely speaking to those people.
Why are you limiting his life to football players?
I am not limiting. We're talking friendship.
No, but it's wrong still. There will be people who don't play soccer with and they are his friends. Don't do that, Pastor Sally. Don't do that. I'm pushing Mr. Cummings towards George Weah, and I want you to come make it look ugly. George Weah will never do something like that.
Listen, Dr. Pearson, go find somewhere else for Cummings to go sit down. Find somewhere else for him to go sit down. He's going nowhere. Nowhere.
And that I know that's your opinion. All right, let's leave it there. Okay, let's leave it there. J. Victor Namwe, I need your contribution on this subject. This is a very serious job, and if the president finds a much better person, a progressive person, maybe we can move the needle. So, what should the president be looking for? And do you think whatever qualities you think the president should consider, are there any individuals you know, or is there any individual you know who has those qualities? And what kind of individual should not be considered at all?
Yeah, for a moment there, I thought you forgot Joe Tower and I. We just been sitting here. The
two dots are on fire tonight. I'm having a hard time,
Too much energy, man. It's good to be young. But let me say this. No, I agree with Pearson in many respects. I think the president comfortability matters here. The president has to also be competent. I will add that I think he should try to walk away a little bit from bringing someone of his age group, his crowd. Because he's a man of a certain age. I think he needs a younger person who will coalesce all of the reporting that is coming to him and make sense of it. In the morning, the president probably need maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes of briefing. Somebody who would take all of that, crunch it up, and give him his daily briefing, the lay of the land. I'm not sure if Greg could do that for him. I mean, he and Greg are probably going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. So, and do I have anybody on mind? Well, I've seen people talk about coming to be I think he may be capable to do that for the president.
Oh my
Bian
God.
Kessley, who was the Maritime Affairs, his name has come up too. I think he's capable. I think the president should try to get a little bit outside of his orbit. I understand he has to be comfortable with this person, but you can see even the absence of Minister Grisby. I mean, I saw photos, president taking photos with some people sitting on the arm of the chair, the president sitting on and leaning over him. That is the president of the Republic of Liberia. I don't think that kind of proximity should be allowed, and that would be the work of that person coming in. They have to be that gatekeeper who will say, no, even if you want to make coffee for the president, I got to see the coffees first. So you need a combination of those qualities. But so that would be my advice to the president. I think you should step away a little bit from. I think all the people he has in the mansion there, you should leave them alone. And Steve Quayle is my friend. We were in Tom High School together. I know him very well. Kopi Woods is also my friend and brother. I know him very well. But I think given what has happened over the past 18 months, I think that both of them should stay away from this job. I think the president should look outside his circles. And those two names that I mentioned, and maybe a female, I just can't come up with one now. But I think he should try, and go a little bit outside of his comfort zone if he really wants, a meaningful contribution and engagement.
Joe Molin won that job.
Joe?
Yeah.
Joe Layayo.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit confused with Dr. Pearson on points that he made, that the president don't need to get a friend, and that is okay, but the president need to get somebody that he trusts and that he feel comfortable with. You can't go grab a stranger that you trust and feel comfortable with. It's not possible. Everywhere in the world, everywhere that there is a chief of staff of the president, that is somebody that is friends with the president, they have long history, what a business relationship, how you call this stuff, just regular, like living, like private life. So it goes back, far back. I think the problem here is this. Okay, let's take us here, for example. We all have friends, right? We all have friends that we've been knowing over maybe 20, 30, 40 years, depending on how old we are. What the issue here is that if Nangwe is my friend, and Nangwe hire me for me to advise him.
God forbid.
Yeah, no, God forbid, I'm going to advise you.
For the CMC,
What
yeah, he
happened
hired
is
you
that
for CMC.
Nangwe would have known me, right? And know my ability, my limitations and everything else over 20, 30 years or so. Okay. So Nangwe would know whether I can tell him the truth or not. And then if I can tell Nangwe the truth, Nangwe will have to actually create the condition for me to be able to tell him the truth. So it is all of this stuff. So it depends on the president a lot. So it's not whether the president is his close friend, whether they went to CWA, but they got to be somebody that the president knew. Because remember, the president can just leave and go grab somebody from outside. These are sensitive information coming in. These are intelligence. These are different things. The president can leave and go grab somebody from CDC that is trying to overthrow him or in election or removing election or from CMC or from ANC. No, that's not going to work. He would have to grab somebody from his inner circle. But the president knows the people that since he's been growing up, they can tell him the truth. And the president himself have to create the condition to be willing to hear that truth. Because I have people that work for me, and I have people that I'm friends with, and I have friends that I can sit down, they tell me the truth. Sometimes I don't want to hear it. They'd be like, I say, okay, yeah. And then after that, I call them, I say, man, you are right. And there's some people that, because a certain way, like people that work for me, they are afraid for me to tell them the truth, or they come in, they're trying to gain favor. I already know those people. So if I really want real advice, guess what? I call on the people that I know that will tell me no matter how I feel. The president. So this is where we are. You see, so it depends on the president, but the president is not going to go out there to go grab somebody. Just like Pastor Salib, Ellen Johnson nephew say here, no, I'm just playing. or Dr. Washington, the person will come from within that circle. What is from within the office of the president already? Because remember, Grigsby was out for a long time, right? The president can choose somebody. I don't know about Ben Kessley so much because I know a little bit about him when he was at the Maritime. He was just brought in there, he was lost. I remember the guys like my cousin, where they were calling us to see if we could help. And I went to that Maritime and I wrote some of their policies and everything. But I was trying to consult and not trying to work in the government and to help regulate the companies. But guess what? The moment that report got in their hand, they decided they were going to try to form the company and do it on their own. By following that, they couldn't do the job. Everything collapsed. And being called my friend to come in and serve as his deputy, but because he don't know anything but shipping, anything but maritime, so he was just there because of his dad's political party. So they can't bring him in there for him. He need to go and cut his teeth some more, maybe, so like that. But look, to wrap up, there was something that my brother Nangbe said. I think it was misunderstood, or maybe it was not clarified. He was saying something here. Somebody said that Boyka and Kun come from the north or north and northwest. He said Kumit and we are coming from the southeast. It's not really going to work out for them too well. And it's not even that they come from the same county or not. Remember, the southeast is smaller in terms of vote. If you place the two candidates from there, you leave the whole area. Forget now. How you call the vice president come from Nimba. So even if you come from the north, that's Nimba. So you see the people are being placed based on where the votes are so that they can be able to pull. Both of them come from the southeast.
I'm glad you got my point, Tao.
Yeah,
I appreciate that because that is the whole work of the VP.
I'm already advising you.
Get the vote from where you cannot get them from your VP. Yep. Will be able to go and get those votes. If the vote comes from the same, drinking from the same well, then what's the point of it, right?
Yep.
So all right, gentlemen, time is fast spent. I will get 30-second closing from each of you, as much as you want to. Let's start with you, Pastor Salif. Your 30 seconds start now.
Well, thank you. When I joined the show, we were talking about the human rights stuff, and that's where I want to start from. Yep, there are, was the U.S. government, I think that was the argument, whether they even do their own human rights stuff. Yes, several agencies within the organization within the U.S. government, they track human rights violations in the U.S., like the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Department of State, the Department of Homeland Security, and other non-governmental organizations like the Human Rights Watch and Human Rights Measurement Initiative. Those are all people that also help to track the human rights abuses. However, they don't police themselves. You can't expect a government to police itself. So you are setting the rules for human rights violation across the world. Who sets it for you? Because you're not policing yourself. So why can't the United Nations set some standard for U.S. human rights violations? So the United States, all they do is there's this saying that might is right. And also another saying that for thee, not for me. So I will make you do it, but you don't ask me to do anything. If there were other organizations that are neutral that are also telling the United States government, no, this as your human rights abuses, then the things we see, we won't see it. All the murders in the street every day by state security, we wouldn't see that, but we leave them to police themselves while they police us. It's unfair. So the United States is not fair to the rest of the world. They want to police the whole world, and nobody should tell them what to do. They want to monitor elections in every country. Nobody should monitor their election. They interfere in every election around the world. Nobody should interfere with theirs, because it's might is right. For thee, not for me. That's what they do. So it is a fair practice. When it comes to all the other things we talk about, the CDC, whether, they need to, everybody leaving, they need to see that as a red flag and close ranks. I don't have problem. For me, the more the merrier. The more political parties, the better. So people can have the opportunity to choose wisely. And finally, when it comes to Grigsby's departure, I started the discussion. You don't need a yes man. because it's difficult to discipline your friends. It's difficult to hold your friends accountable because you all been pals for 40, 50 years ago. Who you going to discipline? Did Bwaka ever call out Grisby for any thing that he did? No, he won't do it. So you need somebody who is objective, who is also loyal, who understands your vision, who is aligned with your vision. But you don't need a yes man. You need somebody that can tell you, boss, I understand what you want to do, but this will not go well. If you do this, this will be the fallout. You need that some person with some level of integrity that will not use that office to promote themselves, but to promote the agenda, the plans of the president. But that person has to be objective. And I don't think, in my estimation, a body from yesteryears will be able to be that objective to you. That's why doctors are not allowed to treat their own families, because there's too much sentiment involved. Bwaka can never discipline any of his friends. He did not even discipline his party chairman, Reverend Luther Tappe, for all the money he stole from the inauguration. I don't see him discipline any of his buddies if they did anything wrong. So you need somebody more objective. I don't want a yes man in that office. I need somebody who is competent, who can do the job, who is objective, who aligns with the president's ideologies and his vision. But it does not have to be a buddy, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Thank you. Please, that was 30 seconds. Joe, go ahead. Your 30-second closing.
Yes. I agree with what Pastor Salif said concerning the U.S. human rights record. Look at what happened here. We are not saying that what they listed. Remember, the United States government is not the first to list this. That is why I just said here, all of the topic we discuss here throughout the whole year. So for it to not be an issue because the white man just said it, this is the kind of stronghold I want us to break out of our mind. Because we know that they actually facilitate a lot of these human rights abuses around the world. So we don't have to wait till the U.S. says something for it to mean something, when we ourselves have already been discussing this for a whole year. Let us actually try to do this, because the more we do this, the greater it is for us to break the chain that they have, that anything they say is supposed to carry some kind of weight, that everything they say is true. And we know that they lie a lot. The history is there for us to look at. That when they themselves go ahead and push the so-called ICC or the International Court of Justice, they turned around and wrote a law called the Hague Invasion Treaty in 2002 that they passed, that if any of the soldiers go or any of them commit crime, war crime anywhere, if they get arrested, the U.S. will drop paratroopers and invade the court and free that person. They don't believe in international justice. They don't believe in human rights. This is true. But then they turn around when the court mentions something, they sanction all the judges. So like Pastor Soli just said, so you see, they say somebody wants to tell me that they put out the human rights stuff. But then when it's picked up by the same international organization that they use as bulldog to attack other people, when they point at them, what they do, they chew up that organization. So they don't believe in these things. Okay? They just use them for deception so that they can use it to influence other people and then control them. That's all that it is. But that doesn't separate the fact that it happened in our country. We should address it. We should hold our government responsible because we've been addressing it here. So we shouldn't wait them when the US say they're supposed to mean a whole lot. They don't mean anything when they say it. And the last thing that I will say here is that when it comes to the CDC, or just like my brother Nangwe said, or Anthony said here, is that, you can't count them out. If you look at the landscape, right? After Bwaka, after UP, and that's the same people. So whether it is ANC, whether it's CMC, whether it's all of these guys, they will have to merge with one of these two parties. Maybe until they build their own clout over time. So these two parties are always going to be there. And even if doesn't win election outright, they're going to win some seats. They're going to still be influential in government, just like when they are UP laws, and they were still in government through some elections and stuff until they came back. So I'm not going to count them out.
Thank you. Jeff Victor.
Longest 30 seconds I've ever counted in my lifetime.
Yeah,
How I see it.
the guys, they are now observing the time.
No, these guys are rebels. But I
Yeah.
agree with Pastor. I agree with Pastor Selim and Joe Tao. So I'm not going to talk about the U.S. human rights record, but I just wanted to caution us. Let's not mind the messenger and ignore the message. I think what they're saying is really is intended for our own good. So I will leave it there. I The CDC again. I said we're all in the opposition community, and so I'm not going to I'm not going to pick and gloat over their mishaps. But I would just say this: they seem to be imploding, and they need to get a grip. The way they're handling it right now is not healthy. It's not a smart way to handle it. To start castigating people who are leaving it, you want to pay attention to what they're saying and why they're leaving. Forget about what they did, what you did for them, whatever. Everybody made everybody. Everybody made everybody. The president, President Weah, yes, he's the most popular man, but his popularity is something to do of all of his constituents. He's not just popular by himself. So I want to caution them to be very careful, pay attention to what is happening, do something about it. Lastly, congratulations to the CMC. We know we're a young party. We understand we got to work hard, and we're doing it. Today we welcome aboard Ms. Fanta Kamara, a brilliant young lady. She has joined us, and I want to congratulate her and welcome on board over the weekend because we don't rest. We'll be working. We're moving to Canada over the weekend. We're going to inaugurate what we call the pathway to change. Hopefully, we'll tell you what happens there, but wish us well. Thank you very much. It's been a great show.
That you see, number
The
is
long hair 30 seconds. The long hair 30 seconds.
Dr. Williams, go ahead, sir.
I almost had a heart attack. I was wondering if CMC was in the midnight elections today.
Our first participation was strategic. Yeah. Sometimes you lose to win, and we won a lot out of that election. But I'll leave it there.
We can have that debate another day. One of the things you may not know that me and you both are from UPP, and we know what institutionalized party looks like.
I know that.
CMC, yeah, we'll have that debate another day. Yes, sir.
And by that, I'm appealing to the moderator to restart the clock for you.
All right. Clock restarted. Dad, go ahead. 30 seconds.
But yeah, it has been a good conversation. I pivot back to Dr. Pele's oration about Liberia's attempt to mentally decolonize herself in this stronghold that the U.S. has over us. And our response to things like these Magnitsky sanctions and human rights report speaks clearly to how much hold the U.S. has over us. And until we're liberated, nationally liberated, mentally liberated from these perks of U.S. and its foreign policy tentacles across the world, we're going nowhere. Yes, these things are happening. Yes, we have institutions. Our papers are reporting it. Yes, we could be preemptive by strengthening our institutions to be able to catalog some of these things and work in ways to avert them. No society anywhere in the world does have 100% human rights situation. No society. Even Switzerland, that is the masterpiece of peace and tranquility, there are still issues there on the street. And so, with everything that's going on in the country, this government isn't where personally I want to see it. I think they can be farther off the field than where they are. But I'm happy that we're not where we were. We're not where we were. Some 16, 18 months ago, we've traveled far. We still got ways to go. There's institutions to build. There's reform to be instituted. I think a lot of things is still paced in the country, And so, but I will give credit where credit is due. People have at least a psychosocial stability other than what they had last year. The job creation, all of those things come with time. They come with time. When you've worked or been around government before, you understand that government as an institution has challenges. You can have all of the flowery programs and vision and idealism.
30 seconds.
It's time. Um, I love these conversations because it helps us keep the conversation, the issues on the table. It keeps government reminded that people are watching. But more importantly, it helps government that people like us on these platforms can provide solutions, suggestions on how to move forward. And that's what's important. You know, at the end of the day, people on our account, and they haven't gotten to where we hope they will be. We move them and we put somebody else in, but not Ellis Cummings and some of the other people that are parading the corridors of hopefully taking the election. No, Ellis Cummings have been in government some 18 years ago. He lost that chance when Ellen Johnson brought into the country. She used his resources. He sat down and put, listen, Upper Piazza, let's have a conversation around your candidate. Let's have a special session on your candidate. And I will give you reasons why you need to look somewhere else.
No one is observing the 30 seconds.
Was that 30 seconds or 30 minutes?
Disappoint me, but
Anthony, because this was a very passionate session.
I enjoyed that.
The issues were good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
The issues were good.
Very good. I like
that. I'm
that.
happy I'm here.
Yeah, that Pearson, the neo-progressive commentator, but man, I see how you do this thing in 30 seconds because the metro is kind of bully at you. But go ahead.
Look, Mr. C, I authorize you to open your debate between Dr. William and myself on Cummings. Bring us two of us and you the moderator. I stand ready any day.
All right. I will do my note and then I will let you know.
Right. Now, look, let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
No one expects a government to be perfect. We're not looking for perfection here. But at the same time, we think it is hypocritical, it is disservice, it is disingenuous to the people of Liberia who are suffering and dying at the barrels of the gun when the police of the LMP has been militarized with semi-automatic rifles across the streets of Monrovia. And your peers are trying to bring you to understand that you're abusing your people and you're trying to find a way to bend the reports and want to hide on other issues from the facts. The facts remain clear as they were clear in 2022, 2021, 2019, when we all criticized the CDC government when these very reports came up. The reports have not changed. And that's what we're saying. Something must be done, not business as usual. Now, let me say this. Whether we like it or not, until George Manning is removed from the equation of CDC remains an indomitable force. And it's going to be the first or the second political party in any presidential elections. And I hope Cummings will note this. And now that they are in the opposition, we should rally around CDC and show a formidable opposition. And let me close on this. ANC having our diaspora convention in Atlanta, Georgia, and I will be inviting Mr. Namwe, Mr. Williams, and all of you guys, and even Dennis Jai to come join us. Guys, we're in your terrain there. You can join us. October the 24th to the 26th, Atlanta. ANC will be there. Dr. Williams, come visit and see Mr. Cummings. Sit with this decent young man. No, don't let me end. That 30 seconds again.
I'm going to London with CMC.
Look at it. Okay, my 30 seconds finish. Look, thanks to Liberian for all our viewers out there. But you are invited in Atlanta, Georgia, October the 24th to the 26th. ANC diaspora will be there, and the young and energetic Cummings will be there to show us the way forward to move Liberia from the dungeon.
I will be hosting the University of Liberia in the DMV, the University of Liberia Alumni Association at the time.
Gentlemen, thank you so much, and thanks to our listeners who stay with us throughout the broadcast. Those who will listen later, thank you. It was a well-spirited discussion about our country. Let's continue to have these conversations, hoping that, it will prick the consciousness of our national leaders to do right by our people so that our country can get in a much better place. Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. This is how we'll come to the end of this discussion. Of course, the debate between Dr. Joa Williams and Dr. Clarence Arrow Pearson will be organized by Liberia. The topic will be, does Cummings have a pathway to the presidency? Dr. Williams is saying 0. Dr. Pearson is saying he has multiple paths. That debate will be organized, and I'm sure Dennis Jazz will be here to help me. If not, I'm competent enough. He trained me to do this, and we will have that. Yes.
Just a pre-debate speech. This man couldn't even beat Appleton. One labor from Cathedral School.
Let's wait for the debate. Let's wait for the debate.
1%.
There's a theory for that.
Let's wait for the debate. Let's wait for the debate. So on that note, the song that says we are all Liberians closes the broadcast right now. And bye-bye, everybody.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.